Having trouble figuring out the right parts for your next build? Then the custom PC builder at microcenter.com is just for you. Micro Center's free custom PC builder tool guides you through choosing the correct components from start to finish and ensures maximum compatibility for a trouble-free installation. Smart search features allow you to customize your build based on anything you wish, including price, features, and store availability. And once you're ready to purchase, the items in your cart will be reserved and ready for pickup at the Micro Center store of your choice. Not sure which parts are right for you? Well, then head to Micro Center's community forums for help and advice from other PC enthusiasts like yourself. To get started planning your next build and to check out the free custom PC builder tool, head to the link in the description below.
We like big cases around here. We also are a fan of Phanteks and their big cases. So we're gonna take a look today at the Enthoo Pro II. I don't do many case unboxings, I really don't, but I don't know, we really do like large cases around here. In fact, so much so, we put Phil's editing rig in a case similar to this.
About God.
This will turn partially into a review of their packing to see how well it survived UPS's gougings. Let's do a little bit of a backstory here, I guess, in a way. Phanteks, they've been around for a while now, and they are just known for making some of the biggest, most ridiculous cases you can get. In fact, almost all of their Enthoo lineup now, especially the big Enthoos, are all designed for dual systems. And they all are designed to be able to hold an ITX rig in there and a full EATX, maybe even bigger. In fact, we can even talk about the Enthoo Elite, which is pretty gnarly in terms of size. Yeah, gnarly, bro, it's gnarly, bro. Yeah, let's just ignore that happened. We're gonna take a look today at what makes this one different, because what tends to happen with a lot of brands is they take the exact same structure and they just put different plastics on the outside and they call it a new case. But this, considering the fact that this is the Enthoo Pro II, tells me that there was a Pro, and this is the second one.
Most in-depth review ever.
But at least what that tells me is that it's probably gonna be very derivative of the Pro. Now, I never took a look at the Pro. I do have an original Enthoo Primo, which is kind of like their giant case that sort of started it all for them, I guess. And that goes way back. I mean, we're talking back when they're like directly competing with like the NZXT Switch and all that sort of stuff. And NZXT's obviously gone a very different route in their case design since then. This is obviously a very full tower. So here's the accessory box. Holy cow. Okay, so here's what you get in the accessory box. This is gonna be for your ITX system right here. So you remove one of the, and we'll show you in the case, you remove one of the bottom PSU covers because you can actually put 2 PSUs in here if you want. This goes on the back and this becomes your IO shield and mount for your GPU and all that for your ITX system. It's a very modular system. It's designed to allow you to expand and build the system as you need. So these are gonna be your drive cages. Phil probably needs to add another one or two to his system because he keeps filling up his drives, even though I give him 10 terabyte drives. You got some bracketry, and then you got a bunch of these guys right here, which are, they're pretty nice actually. I think they're one of the nicer hard drive cages that you can get when it comes to your hard drives. They got this nice like felt on there to make them softer so that they don't make all kinds of noise, because you stack these. And that's what I like about their expandability for hard drives. A lot of companies will just put extra holes in the back for you to mount. Here's your little screw kit. We'll talk about that in a sec. But you can stack these, and that's what I love about these. And so this little steel, I don't know, clip, I guess. So these are for, when you slide them together, they lock in. So there's that one. And you can, like I said, you can stack this. And these are 4 additional drive cages on top of what's already gonna be in there. So you can see you've got this nice stackable drive cage. And this is exactly how Phil's is actually. He's got 2 of these in the bottom because he's not using a bottom radiator. This looks like this might be part of where you would mount down a PCI riser card. That's what this looks like to me. They don't provide a PCI riser. I believe that's an accessory that you get separately. Then you get the screw kit, which is basically every extra screw you could possibly need. Plenty of extras. I'm trying not to send them flying. You even get extra little rubber feet on here. You get your drive mount screws, your SSD mount screws, motherboard mount screws, thumb screws for all your PCI Express, extra fan screws, extra standoffs. They give you everything. It comes packed with the good stuff. This stuff makes Linus so horny. It definitely is more airflow oriented than yours though. Like, maybe we should move your stuff in here. Because first things first, look at the open mesh front. So the one that Phil's running, the 719, which is basically the same internals, and that's what I was kind of getting at earlier, is this really is 80%, 90% the same case as the 719, in that the insides are all the same. And I bet you it's the exact same chassis, the structure of it. And the outsides are all that's different. But we've got this soft mesh. You can see it's actually like a fabric mesh right here on the front. This is a lot easier of a front panel deal to open than Phil's. Phil hates these flip doors, and I agree with him for two reasons. One, some of our devices that we plug in, like our USB drives and stuff, are kind of fat, and they physically cannot plug into the front because they opted to have it hide away behind this little stupid little door instead of being flush and pretty. We can't mount any, like I'll go get it. So this right here is an XQD card. It's basically an SD card on steroids. This is the card reader for it. And as you can see, so he's always having to plug it into the back. And they're always like, where is that XQD reader? And he's like, I don't know. Like right now it's on my desk. And it turns out it was in the back of his computer because he has to plug it into the back. Reach behind to plug something in because the front panel design is so terrible, it actually isn't useful for the use case in which we've got. And of course, most people don't have to worry about this, but if you've got like a wireless dongle for a lot of headsets that are a little bit bigger because of the light speed stuff now, and then the slipstream and all that stuff, they can be bigger and they may not fit in here. You can see the nice thing about the filters is they are just magnetic. So when you want to clean your fan filters, they just kind of stick on in there, and that's for the power supply right there, because this is a vertically mounted power supply, not a horizontally mounted one. So there's the front panel, and that's the way that's constructed. Here's the filter for it right here. So it's magnetic on the top, little tabs on the bottom, little feet right there. So that's how that goes in there. This is the filter. That's just a nice open mesh design, which is actually good. It's really thick mesh. If you look at that, like there's plenty of opening there for airflow to go through. Because since this isn't filtering and this is just designed to be a mesh for airflow, you don't want this to restrict your airflow. You already have a fan filter doing that. So there's no chance of having your side glass fall off accidentally. You've got these captive thumb screws in the back, which hold it in. So when you loosen those, you pull it to the rear and then it folds down and then comes out of the little grooves. You can see you've got some grooves right there for the feet to go in. It's really groovy. Some of the budget cases you get, the glass is really thin and you look at it cross-eyed and then it shatters. So this little guy that I popped out right here, this is where you would actually mount SSDs, or to be honest, reservoirs, anything you feel like mounting. It's a nice plastic piece. It's already got some holes in there, but you can actually have these open up too for airflow. So they actually will pop out. So these little covers right here, you can mount hard drives to them, SSDs to them, or you can remove them entirely, or one of them, two of them. You can actually put radiators right here. So not only can you mount stuff to these, that's why you've got that big opening in the back. So you can have a radiator right here. Now this is one of the things that we talked about with the 719, and that you could actually make this really cool, like if I had some ABS plastic here, I would probably make a little shroud that's like curved. That way you can have air go in there and then go out here. So if you had two rads right here, and yes, you actually can, and there was a lot of discussion about whether or not you can even do it. You can very creatively mount two 480s right here. People were like, no, you can't do it. You can do anything with a Dremel and willpower. But no, you can actually mount two 480s in here, depending on the radiators. You can't go with thick rads, 230 mils for sure. And then the fans can go on the back side right here, which is what gives you the clearance you need to clear this rad. So you'd go rad, fans on the back, and then fans and rad on the front right here, and it will clear. And then you can make yourself a little shroud if you want. I think that's a mod I might do in the future. But you can see, you can actually fit at least a 360 rad right here. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so you can fit a 360 radiator down there. And what's cool about Phanteks' design is stuff like this is super easy to work on because your drive cages are actually intended to go right here. But you can fit a 240 rad down there. What I love about this though is, again, I mentioned the modularity. You can actually take this piece out, work on it separately, mount your fans, mount your rad, mount your hard drives, and then you put it all back in as a piece that's much easier to work on than trying to do it inside the case. But if you don't want to do all of that, the modularity of this being a dual system build comes in.
take this little block off plate out. And remember that panel, that plate I showed you earlier? This guy goes in there. And then what you get right here is a dual system build where your ITX goes in the bottom and your main system goes on the top. Now the reason why this even exists is for the longest time, people believed that the only way you could live stream without taking a performance hit to your games was to have dual systems. And so manufacturers started going, how do we make a single case that has two systems in it? Well, you get this. So your ITX system would go right here. You can see the 4 screws for the 4 standoffs, right? Your graphics card goes here vertically. The problem is they provide you the plate to transfer this and turn it into an ITX system, but they don't give you a riser card. I feel like for the price of this case, they should give you a riser card because you're forced to go vertical with the GPU right there. You see how the way that this is mounted? And that's because there's probably just not enough height to make sure you can clear the graphics cards. With it that way, you can fit a triple slot card. The problem is if you go triple slot card, you're gonna push it right up against the glass right here and not have a whole lot of airflow. But this all stemmed from that idea that you needed 2 systems to be able to live stream. Now the benefit to dual systems for live streaming these days is only the fact that if your computer crashes that you're gaming on, your stream doesn't go down at the same time. You'd be able to still be like, oh no, my computer crashed, that's embarrassing. Oh, okay, I'll get back online. So that's why they exist. I just feel like it took a lot of brands a little bit extra time to kind of get involved in building these systems, these rigs, or these cases that can handle dual rigs, to the point to where now the hardware got so good, it's kind of an obsolete, outdated idea. This is actually able to be a power supply mount as well. So not only is this a block-off plate, if you decide not to use the ITX rig, this is where you can mount your power supply right here, which means you could go dual power supply. Not sure what you could possibly put in here that would require dual power supplies. I mean, I guess maybe if you were trying to do 4-way SLI for benchmarking, that's dead. I mean, 4-way stopped with 10 series. So it's there though. I mean, maybe they figured it's a piece of metal, let's make it do something besides block off the plate. But if you're running a single rig, this is where your power supply is gonna go, right here. Vertically in this little shroud, and then it's pretty straightforward. I mean, there's not a whole lot to talk about with this case. One thing to point out though is the top, I'm not sure how to get access up here. You can mount another 480 millimeter radiator up top if you want, or a 420 millimeter radiator, which is 3 140 millimeter fans. And you can clearly get up there. Maybe this is just magnetic. Yes. That's how you get to it.
Some Phanteks engineers just like.
I'm gonna say this chassis is probably cheaper than the 719. It does feel like it's less premium than the 719, but it gives you all the functionality and it gives you all the flexibility that you would want with a chassis that size without maybe having to pay the premium. The airflow on this, even though Phil's rig does move a ton of air from those front fans because he has a 480 in the front, but the expandability of it, the fact that you can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 SATA SSDs if you wanted, 8, 9, 10, 11 if you wanted to use these for it, which would be a bit overkill to put 2.5-inch drives in that. Or you could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 3.5-inch drives, plus 1, 2, 3 SSDs, plus however M.2s, and however many you feel like double-sided stick taping anywhere in this chassis, because there's plenty of room for it. So anyway, and the thing is, because it's like a steel case, and the way it's all riveted and stuff together, it's actually pretty light. It's not that heavy. In fact, I was a bit surprised. The first thing I noticed when I took this out of the box versus the one that you got, the 719, it's definitely lighter with all the panels and stuff on it. But it checks a lot of boxes. If you want a full tower case, which is funny, I feel like the way of full tower cases is kind of dying. I feel like a lot of people are starting to go smaller form factor, just standard ATX on a smaller case because power efficient designs are more of a thing now. GPUs don't generate nearly the heat they used to. CPUs don't generate the heat that they used to. Gets to the point to where these cases almost now are a novelty in going something this big. And I mean, you've got plenty of airflow everywhere on this. You can put it on carpet, it's flexible, you can fit a massive amount of water cooling, and the wobble that you guys are seeing, it's my table that's not square, not the case. The table is all kinds of messed up, so don't blame the case for this if you've noticed that. But you could fit an awful lot of water cooling, 2 systems, 2 PSUs. It really is a bit ridiculous. And then it has cable management to boot. We like this feature right here, by the way. Once you get all your cables and stuff run how you want them, you just take these captive screws out, and that folds down. You get access to all your cables and stuff, and then when you're done, you just
This back panel is fairly flush and it doesn't have any sort of like recess to it. So anything that sticks out beyond this is gonna hit the panel. So I feel like that's there and intended for you to like, okay guys, get it all the smush in there and then just put a foot on it real quick while you close it down. As long as that closes, your case panel will go on. Anyway, when we did our whole reacting to you subscriber builds, there was a few of these Enthoo cases out there from Phanteks, older ones, newer ones. But I think it's just a nice tested design. And I'm fairly certain though still that this structure, at least this back panel, is being recycled into other cases, and this one being a little bit more affordable versus something like the 719 is
Smart.
yeah, it's smart. Back here too even, you can triple mount or triple slot vertical mount your GPU back here if you wanted. Not recommended though still. If you have a triple slot, that only gives you about 1/4 of an inch between the glass and the fans, and we've seen plenty of people do reviews of how much that actually hurts the cooling for your GPU. The biggest challenge with cases like this though is making them not look empty. And some folks actually submitted these cases with air cooling. What would you guys do if you guys had this case right here, knowing it could fit eATX, 2 systems, 3 480mm radiators, although you're not gonna get all 3 in at the same time. That's gonna be difficult because of the fact that fitting, hanging, and all that sort of stuff. But another rad at the bottom, potentially a 140 or a 120 rad in the back. What would you do with this system? Your dream system build, list it below. What would you put in this case? All right, there's our look at the Enthoo Pro II. I didn't have an Enthoo Pro, so I don't know exactly what's different and what makes it 2, but it's here.